What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Panthers Nation Network. Going on, what, six NFL seasons? 7? Like, we've done a bunch of seasons.
First season was, I think it's 6 now. The first season was 2020. Matt Rule's.
Goodness great, because we did it in between 2019, like right after.
Yeah, we started right after 2019, started 2020. Yeah, so it's been, 6 NFL seasons. Not a one winning season yet.
Oh God, you got to go back. That'll be fun though for us to go back and see the progression. Like, you can see from the beginning of the podcast to now how far along we've come. Not that far, but according to a very famous Panthers head coach, former head coach, only got one more year left, right? It takes 7 years.
It takes 7.
So we only got one more year till the Super Bowl, right?
No, absolutely, man. Look, it's happening at some point. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow.
Maybe not next year or the year after that.
But at some point.
It's been over. Let's see how many years. This is the 30th season, yeah?
Yeah.
30th season, and we're out here at Locker Room Charlotte where you can get dope merch like this. This is from that inaugural game, Panthers versus Jags, that Hall of Fame game, which, of course, is Week 1. Of course, the Riders wanted to do that at the NFL, right? The Scoop Riders.
Of course, man. Look, and I decided to wear, the Jaguars' second home, London, where y'all be moving too soon. You feel me?
That is their second home, right? They're going to be moving over there full-time in a little bit, moving on up to over across the pond. But before that, they're going to get a whooping
God, we hope.
inside Everbank. I'm trying to temper off my expectations because it's been, especially with Dave Canales and with Bryce Young as well, the beginnings of the seasons are not great. Not had a good start to the year for Bryce Young and not had a good start to your season for Dave Canales. So you would think against a team like Jacksonville, new GM, new head coach that are both incredibly young, that there's a better chance there. But it's a huge trap game.
It is. I would love to say I expect this team to come out, fire on all cylinders, look like there was some carryover from last season. But to be completely honest, the preseason left me with a lot left to be desired. And I think that's the same for a lot of fans. We just didn't see what we thought we should have seen out of this group. And I mean, I can't blame anybody except for the team itself for why fans would feel that way. No Ike Ekwonu, of course, to start at left tackle this week. So there's questions. I mean, I don't know, a lot's happened since we've been here last, but as soon as you trade away Adam Thielen, Jalen Coker goes on IR.
Yeah.
In Panther fashion. So it's there's a lot of question marks, man. There are still worries for us as fans. Nate Scott taking over the starting safety position. I think a lot of people are very disappointed in that, considering how they, what we saw from Lathan Ransom. People wanted to go ahead and see the young guy go ahead and get the start. But at this point, bro, all our hopes and this all in the hands of this coaching staff. They make the final calls. They're the head decision makers of all of this. So we have to just trust what they've done, and hopefully we see something that we like on Sunday.
Yeah, that's just as long as there's a game, right? I hate to keep saying that, but that's the point that we're getting to, and it just continues to snowball. You can't ever have any sort of good news without any bad news. We can start with, chronologically with the Adam Thielen trade. We had talked about it. A lot, and we're saying, unless it's the ball is in your court, you don't have to do anything with it. So unless there's a move that you like, don't do anything with it. And for me, a 5th rounder, I believe it was, and then a 4th rounder the season after, not really moving it for me. I get that this was going to be his last, like XL spoke today, this was going to be his last year regardless. Yeah. So to get extra draft picks for a guy that you were going to dump off regardless, in and of itself is good.
Yeah.
Obviously they can't foresee Coker's injury, but then again, Canales was outspoken about not being, in the article with Joe Person, about not being particularly happy with his conditioning over the offseason and where his body stood coming into training camp. So, two things can't be true, that's conflicting things right there, because then you come in and say, Coker's going to be ready to go. And they said the same thing about Hunter Renfrow. Canales has been adamant and open to say, Hunter said the reason why he was cut or what he was told was because they didn't really like where he was at physically. But then when Coker goes down, you trade Adam Thielen. Well, Hunter's got the body and he's physically ready to be where we need him to be. So which is it?
Yeah, at this point, I will say it's starting to become a trend with Dave. That, bro, your story's not always matching up. You're trying to do the. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish when he says some of these things, but I think maybe we gotta get a little bit better at lying if we're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because this is what truth be told, I think this is what coaching is. Coaching is being able to lie in the most colorful way as possible.
Yeah.
To where like nobody really knows what I'm really trying to say or what I'm really getting at. Like,
Yeah.
And Dave seems like he's a little green with doing that, bro.
He's just like a spin artist right now, right? Like, and they say, like, don't listen. Like, the sound bites from coaches are pretty much useless, right? They're either coach speak or they're smoke screens. Like, very rarely do you get, especially in a press conference setting. Now, when a one-on-one with a beat writer like a Joe Person, Mike Kay, Scott Fowler, the great beat writers that the Panthers do have, that's where you do get the nitty-gritty. But when it comes to an actual press conference that they know the fans can listen to, very rarely are they saying anything that's, like, quantifiable that you can take with you. Yeah. So, all that to say, like, you couldn't know that Coker was going to go on IR, but in the same sense, you should have had that inkling that he was going to, which for me makes it all the more of a reason to not trade Adam Thielen. And if anything is to be believed about, the contract he immediately signed with Minnesota or with the social media, kind of chatter from his loved ones and his agent that he obviously clearly did not want to stay in Carolina. But that's not new information because the season before he was talking about how he would have rather have signed with Kansas City. Yeah. So we shouldn't be surprised that he wanted to develop, but that doesn't mean you have to let him go.
But here's the thing, though. I don't think you let him go. You traded away a 34 going on 35-year-old receiver. How much of a return did you think you were going to get back for him?
I was hoping for at least a fourth rounder this year. That was where, like, I love a fourth rounder, and, you have to be patient, right? Like, it's obviously less sexy the farther away you put it.
Right.
But, like, I think it was the fifth round this year. Could take it or leave it, right? Like, I will say, though, Dan has been very fruitful with fourth and fifth round picks.
Right. I think with this current regime, I want to trust them and what they can do in the draft. They've at least to this point, they've done solid. They have the late round picks, the UDFAs, the more opportunities I think we give them to be able to acquire talent and put their players in the building. I think the better for that group. I'm not mad at it though. I mean, for Adam Thielen, how good did we think Adam Thielen would have looked this year? Like at some point we had to think that hey, Father Time's gonna catch up. At
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I think it's now like coupled with the Jalen Coker injury.
Right.
I think it's fine. Right? I think now your receiver room comes a bit more diluted. You went from more than likely starting a duo of Coker or Thielen as your slot receiver, switching them out interchangeably throughout the year, and allowing X and T-Mac on the sides to do their things. That looks leagues ahead of now Hunter being your only, at the time, starting slot receiver. I assume Jimmy will take that second spot, but it'll probably be more likely David Moore.
Which I'm not. Again, I'm not mad at David Moore being. At that point, I'm not mad at where David Moore's out on the depth chart. I'm not mad if that's got to be the next man up. It's not horrible for me, especially when we consider how we talked about Hunter Renfrow throughout the preseason. Yeah. We said our intentions were, hey, if Hunter Renfrow's legitimate, then get Adam out the paint.
Yeah,
that was our thought anyway. So I mean,
but were we looking at that with the lens of Jalen Coker still being a healthy and playable receiver throughout the year, and Adam and Thielen, because at the time, Thielen was the fourth guy. We all knew that. Whoever was not named Jalen Coker, T-Mac, or XL were the fourth guy, the fourth option. So now that becomes your third option, and now you have to run a different kind of. I hope, everything that Canales said about these wide receivers getting to be like a basketball squad, that he rings true to that, and that he can plug and play more, and he can plug and play Jimmy Horn, and he can plug and play even, God forbid, Bryson Tremaine, and actually have utilization from them, right? Like that's what I'm excited to see if you can do that.
Well, here's my thing, man. At the end of the day, so I'm trying to be careful with what I say right here. It's like, you drafted a receiver at number 8. You drafted a receiver at number 32 the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
if you still need 35-year-old Adam Thielen in that room, even without Jalen Coker, if those two can't do something
Very
for
true.
you, then we already messed up, and
Very
then
true.
you know we got bigger issues. If I believe in what I believe Hunter Renfrow to be, it'd be a solid slot receiver, a safety valve. That I don't think you. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think there was a. Is there a drop off? Yes, because Allen's been productive and Hunter Renfrow had a few years of
Absolutely,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying. So there is a bit of a drop off there, but in all reality, I got 6 years younger, and I got a less of a deal for this cat compared to Adam Thielen.
Well, that's the other, not necessarily annoying part, but if you want to be the nitpicky when it comes to the cap space, is that we actually had to sign Hunter for more
Oh
than they
yeah,
had
no,
signed him originally, and that's where it's like if you just kept him. We don't know the logistics of how the Adam Thielen trade went, but it seemed like the fact that it was like literally the next day. You cut Renfro, trade Thielen, then
it was
Coker goes down, and you re-sign Renfro for $1 million more with an extra it could be $2 million if he gets those, which you hope he gets those
yeah, I
measure,
do.
So then you go from $1 million to $3 million, which again, that's picking pennies here when you come into these salaries. But it's all to say that if you had stipulations about Coker's health, you feel like you'd be more pressed to get the Thielen trade done so that you have room to keep Coker on. The crazy part for me is the fact that like guys like DJ Johnson still make the cut every year when we get this 53-man roster, especially in a year where like you knew you were going to run multiple wide receivers or more tight ends, or even more running backs. Like the fact that Raheem Blackshear got the axe, but DJ Johnson didn't is mind-boggling to me.
I mean, look, bro. Avero. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
all it is.
That's all I can look at, and to say like, hey, like this is his guy. This is the guy that he's still on the table for when come draft time, and he's stood by him thus far throughout what it's been like. What's his third season now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. I I don't know.
So right now they've got, like I said, we can go through the depth chart and then talk a little bit about some of these moves. T-Mac and David Moore backing him up, and then Dale Von Campbell, who we picked up,
Shout out Delvin Campbell.
right? The Gamecock, who I'm excited to see actually made the roster.
I mean, he had a great camp in,
He had a great
in LA.
camp.
And I mean, and every time you saw highlights of them, it was him.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, DJ Uyunglele making throws at that point too. It was
Which
crazy.
ridiculous to say. And then and he was getting guarded by Dante Jackson. and burning Dante Jackson.
You feel me?
Hunter Renfrow solely in the slot, and then Leggett and Bryson Tremaine, and then Jimmy Horn Jr. are your three on the other side.
Yep.
So to me, I know you don't need to put a second slot, I guess, but for me, I would think you'd put Jimmy Horn in that second slot spot.
You would think either Jimmy Horn or David Moore.
To go from 6'3", 6'4", XL, 6. I don't even know how tall Bryson Tremaine is. He's tall. I think like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, I think he's like 6. Yeah, I think he's like 6'3".
And 5'11" Jimmy Horn, right? Like you just need to mix it up a little
Jimmy
bit.
Horn 5'11", bro?
Look at for all of our short kings.
That boy's 5'9", man.
We're not gonna do that, okay? the Panthers roster says 5'11".
I know what that means.
We all know what that means, right? So then you got Icky, of course, and we talked about it. Surprise appendectomy. No words for that. That's just par for the course for the Carolina Panthers and Charlotte sports.
Bro,
to get an appendectomy 2 weeks before the season starts.
Oddly enough, bro, I feel more confident with him not being on the field. If you want me to be completely honest, I feel more confident with him not being on the field.
If there's any week for us to not necessarily have to worry about the left tackle position, it's probably this week.
Yeah. So is it Brady Christensen?
It'll be Brady Christensen, which that's A-okay. I'm fine with that. We've seen he has the ability to do that. I have no fear there. Damian Lewis is working there. Not like half the offensive line was not practicing on Wednesday. Little concerning, but like we said, we've got a good backup. So Zavala's behind Damian Lewis. May's behind Corbett. There's no backup right guard. They waived Trey Carter, so that's not ideal. But Hunt is a workhorse. He's, knock on wood, been incredibly healthy. And then Timo and Yash Nijman. I'm really glad they got Timo's deal done before the season started. That was a no-brainer. Keep him here through the end of his career. You draft your starting right tackle next year because I don't think it's Yash Nijman. And you could maybe bump Christensen out there for the meantime, but at this point in time, when you don't have huge other holes right now that you need outside of the defense, go ahead and fill that tackle slot out. Then, of course, Jatavian Sanders, Tommy Tremble, Mitchell Evans, and James Mitchell getting that fourth tight end spot. We knew they were going to have a fourth tight end.
Yep.
Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, and then Chuba, Rico Dowdle, and Trevor Etienne. So then the defense comes around, Turk Wharton and Bobby Brown, which is funny. Turk wasted no time to pick up 99. He wasted no time to change his number. So he'll be rocking 99 this year. Bobby Brown behind him. Then Ashawn, Cam Jackson, Derek Brown all alone on the other side. Then starting with Patrick Jones, Princely behind him, Thomas and Coombe, Trevin Wallace and Claude and Churlis, Christian Roseboom, and Bam Martin Scott.
Shout out Bam Martin Scott.
I'm not surprised. He had a great camp.
He did, absolutely. And I mean, we knew even when the UDFA signings were announced, that was the first name that we mentioned. Now, obviously, there may have been some bias, but
a little bit.
Reality was, knowing how he played at South Carolina, how well that defense at South Carolina played last year, knowing he was a key part of that. Although, with the rest of that linebacker room, that guys like Demetrius Knight who got drafted by Cincinnati,
right?
Like, you knew he could play. You knew for a team like Carolina that lost Josie Jewell at the start of camp, you knew he had a legitimate shot. So great to see him. I know he's going to be mostly on special teams. If he can find his way on the field and he can contribute, then by all means, I'm here for it. But again, a lot of what we talked about earlier about the UDFAs and those draft picks for Dan Morgan, they got to find a way to contribute.
Yeah, and they normally have, right? They've done so in years past. So I'm not too surprised. I'm not too worried about that. Then you got DJ Wanham out on the side praying. He had a really quiet camp. Yeah. They were being really, really, really cautious with him. Understood, and understandably so. From both Patrick Jones and DJ Wanham, but hopefully they can mesh and come through. I don't foresee it being too long before Scorton and Princely jump out there. Scorton's doing fine, feeling great after everything. Because again, collapsed lung. Like, what are the freaking odds? Yeah, bro. But projected to, if he's I don't foresee him getting a lot of playing time week one. I think they'll ease him in, but he's going to get obviously playing time as they go through. And then DJ Johnson, again, for some reason, getting that third spot. It's neither here nor there.
It kind of makes sense, though, when you think about the fact that Nick Scorton did have a collapsed lung. You do have to keep some type of depth down there, right?
I would put out Nick Scorton with a collapsed lung on the field and trust him more than I would DJ Johnson fully
healthy. There you have it, folks.
I would put present-day Julius Peppers on the field before I put DJ Johnson.
And there you have it again.
I would put Felipe Franks in a defensive end before I'd put DJ Johnson.
Okay, now let's relax.
I'm being completely. I would call up Fred Johnson from South Carolina and put him in before DJ Johnson. I know. Keep an eye on it, Carolina Panthers fans. Fred Johnson, Aquara, and Dylan Stewart. But hopefully we're not low enough to be able to draft Dylan Stewart.
Not facts. But, yeah, we got some linebackers for y'all, boys. Don't worry about it.
It's a great pipeline. Just
come on, bro.
Push on through. Anywho, cornerback room, Mike Jack, we knew. Corey Thornton get that second spot. That was a no-brainer. I mean, he had an amazing camp. Yeah, and another UDFA, just showing how much he can do.
Yeah. No, I know. He makes me feel a lot better about that secondary. I having, again, obviously we don't know how it'll play out because, I mean, he is indeed a rookie still.
Of course.
But no, how he came up and showed through camp, like he was the one guy through every game that I'm like, you look for him, you see him make plays, you see him get active. So he's
got the measurables.
Yeah,
he's got the footwork.
Yeah, he does. The only thing that kept him out of being drafted was the speed.
Yeah, and to be honest, in-game speed, I didn't see because he was keeping up with T-Mac, he was keeping up with XL, and he was keeping up with the receivers that we were taking on. It wasn't Jerry Jeudy, and it wasn't DK Metcalf in the preseason, but he was keeping up.
I like him as my reserve corner. I really do. I feel confident with him.
Absolutely, and especially with Chaw he's back up, but he's obviously the slot cornerback, and he's going to stay in the slot cornerback. You have a true guy that can go back and forth. See how much JC gets to travel this year.
I would love to see JC travel.
I would too. I think if there's a year for it, it's this year.
And if it's a game for it, Brian Thomas Jr. is the game.
It absolutely is. And especially knowing that Travis Hunter is going to play as a starting wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That came out, he'll be backup cornerback, starting wide receiver. Now okay, it's either Mike Jack or JC on Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
So what do you want? What's your matchup there?
I think you got to roll with Mike Jack. And I want to say I had this conversation with you at one point.
We did.
And you said and you made a lot of sense when you said, like, hey, look, if there's a guy that can take on Travis Hunter today, Mike Jack will probably be the guy.
Absolutely.
Like you would think, right?
He's like for the the route tree that Hunter has, JC is locked down. Don't get me wrong, but what really impressed me about Mike Jack last year is his ability to match on route running, and that's from every level. Like if they cut outside, he was right on it. He could go for I remember with Mike Evans the second game, not the first, or the first game, not the second. Other than that first touchdown, he was on him the entire game.
Yeah.
And there was a couple BS pass interference calls that should not have been called, and he was right there on him. And they were playing patty cake the whole route. So I think for the way that they're going to run Travis Hunter, he's who I think you need to put him on.
Yeah, and it makes sense. This is Travis Hunter's first game in the NFL. And if there's any part of Travis Hunter's game that's lacking as a receiver, is his route running.
Absolutely.
As of right now. So I would definitely trust Mike Jack to be the guy for that. Brian Thomas Jr., hey, look, man, I got shit. Yeah. JC needs that assignment for the whole day. I don't really need to see him on anybody else.
No, I've got Thomas on my fantasy, but I don't want to see nothing from
There's
you.
a reason why he's on his fantasy.
Yes,
You know?
and that's like as a Jaguars wide receiver, right? Revitalizing a certain Clemson quarterback's career and a savior for them in Jacksonville because he came onto the scene, and I mean it's what do we expect?
LSU wide receiver.
what do we expect?
Only we could draft the LSU wide receiver that doesn't hit. Only
Who is
us.
now one of the only 4 wide receivers in the room in Dallas.
He's in Dallas now?
Isn't that where he went? Where did he go?
He was in Philly at one point. Well, he was in Vegas. Then he was in Philly in the preseason.
I thought Dallas picked him up. I'll have to go double check that. I might edit that out. I think they picked him up, if I'm not mistaken.
It may have. To be honest, I haven't kept up with the kid since.
Fair enough. Neither have I. And then the safeties. This is a big point of contention, right? Moehrig and Nick Scott. Moehrig with Damani Richardson behind him, and then Lathan Ransom behind Nick Scott. And for me, to be completely honest, because there was people on Twitter, like I think it was Jared Feinberg, was like, hey, guys, maybe they saw something in camp that we weren't able to see because we weren't able to be there.
Didn't see it, so.
Let me be the first. You didn't miss anything. There was nothing they saw. He was running with the 2s for most of camp. There were many days he was running with the 2s. He would come in for the preseason and the preseason matchups and run with the 1s. But as we clearly saw, Lathan Ransom was the one laying people in the ground against the Browns and the Steelers. Damani Richardson had a great camp. He was camp drawing last year, and he was a camp drawing again this year. So
what's the weight? You know what I'm saying?
The only possible thing I can think of from Avero's perspective, from Jonathan Cooley's perspective, and from potentially Dan Morgan's perspective, because he has the connection with Nick Scott coming up from Buffalo. The only thing that I can see is the fact of the matter that with Moehrig coming in new to this defense, there's nobody in the third level that has experience running Avero's system. So they need to have somebody from a play call perspective, from a coverage perspective, and from a responsibility perspective that can think on the fly.
Yeah.
My prediction, I give it 3 weeks before Lathan Ransom or Damani Richardson is starting instead of Nick Scott.
And that's what I'd rather see anyway. That's true. That's truly what I'd rather see. But like you said, like they're leaning towards guys that are familiar with the system.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go that way full throttle. Like whether we feel like guys like Princely and Nick Scoring can play today, whether we feel like guys like Damani Richardson and Lathan Ransom can play today, they're gonna roll with the veteran guys.
This is also the matter that we know this. Avero does not like to play rookies. He is name me one rookie that he's played.
DJ Johnson.
He didn't play DJ Johnson because
it kind of happened because of injuries.
DJ Johnson didn't make it past preseason his rookie year, so even then, I don't even think he played until the very end of it.
Yeah, it wasn't until the end of the season.
He doesn't like to play rookies. We've seen this before. I don't know what the stipulation is. And to be fair, there haven't been very many defensive rookies they've drafted that warrant a starting position.
Fair enough.
Like even Wallace was the first defender we had drafted, a smaller guy.
Was he even starting, or did that happen because of injury?
That happened because of injury. Shaq went down, and then Trevin Wallace had to come in.
There it goes.
It's not something that they do often. So my prediction is they bring in Nick Scott. And the other thing I don't want to say, because it's camp, but I didn't see really anything that made me impressed. I think another reason why they're hesitant to put in Damani Richardson or Lathan Ransom is because I don't think they're incredibly confident with Moehrig at this moment. He didn't really, in my opinion, have a great camp. He was getting burned by our guys, which you can say, okay, that's good. That means your receivers are doing good.
Right.
But there was a very famous clip of Renfro beating him hard on a double route. He hit a double move and put Morig in the dirt. So I think that, well, of course it's on air, right? It's against grass.
Right.
The tape that they got from him coming out this quickly was not ideal, in my opinion. And so I think they're hesitant to put two,
inexperienced guys within that system in there.
Especially when you're running a system that really, really hinges on the play of your safeties. Because if you're not confident in your safeties, then you're not going to rush either of your outside linebackers. You're going to keep them in coverage extra to be able to help, your inside linebackers, which then causes you to not be able to create a four-man rush, and then your three-man front line is moot because 3-on-5 isn't going to – that math don't math.
Okay, well, there you have it again.
This is just what I've been seeing. The injuries are thus far. I think the guys that they're worried about hopefully will be able to, be full throttle by the time they need to be. And I think that's going to be your biggest issue, though. I think it's going to be a season where you're really just harping on your offense and hoping that they can put up numbers in a way that is indicative to what you need out of them and what you've put into them.
Yeah.
You've given a lot of weapons, and even without Coker, you still have a lot of weapons. So hopefully that allows for you to score more points than your defense is going to give up, because they're going to give up a lot, in my opinion.
So, with that being said, in matchups, Jacksonville, week one, how do we think this game goes? How do we think this game plays out?
I think it really will depend upon, obviously the receivers are going to be huge, right, for both sides of the ball. Their cornerbacks, I don't even know who their other two starters are. I couldn't tell you. So I think you have a chance there to take advantage, right? I think you try to take advantage of some mismatches, especially with T-Mac and especially with XL. I keep it away from the middle of the field, right? Because I think that's where their defense can thrive. That middle of the field for them, their front seven is the only good thing about their defense.
Right.
I think you obviously try to establish the run with Chuba and hope that you can get it, but I really think you got to stick to the air. Get Bryce in a comfortable rhythm. I think, and it's what I like to move away.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the Gamecocks. They come out firing. Their 10 sheet was immaculate.
Yeah.
Then nothing to it the rest of the half. Whether, drop balls had some issues, all that. But Mike Shula, former affiliation with the Carolina Panthers, who had some experience in this, made it incredibly simple for Lenore Sellers. The second half looked almost the exact same as the first half starting drive did. I think that's what Dave needs to do. Keep the play calls simple right now. Hunter over the middle. You've got the ability to incorporate Jimmy Horn a little bit. Let him move in space, right? Utilize Jatavian Sanders in the middle, but then really, go swing for the fences because you have the one-on-ones there in the offense. Still try to establish that run, but I if it's not working, don't abandon it. But really, I think the air has to be your bread and butter offensively.
See, that's crazy because me, I'm the polar opposite of that. I want to run the rock.
I want to run
the rock. The Chuba Hubbard's still your best offensive player until further notice. Nobody. Obviously, T-Mac hasn't played the game yet. XL's got a lot to prove. To me, right now, I think you roll with that backfield. Now, I am a bit worried about Rico Dowdle because I didn't see much from Rico Dowdle in the preseason.
No.
Now, you got to. You saw it in camp, but
and I had an issue with that. And I asked Rico about it because he was like, I felt like I left a lot in the field. And I was like, well, and of course he didn't give me a real answer, but I was like, are they running you are they charting you as a 1A, 1B? Because every time Chuba left the field, Rico went right off the field. And to me, you wanted to see stuff from ETN, what he could do. Blackshear you knew was going to be a camp sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you run him so much. And then, Amani Bailey and Cameron Lynch-Adams, they ran a lot of those games. To me, you didn't see anything. Rico wasn't on the field.
Mm-mm.
And for a guy that, is younger, explosive, and you're just bringing onto your team, you would think you would want to get an immediate routine going and a rhythm going. Whether they think he doesn't need that or whether they think they need him ready to be 1A, 1B with Chuba.
Yeah.
That's I completely agree with you. And I don't know. It's not a matter of concern for me. I just want to know what their thought process is with him.
Right.
Because with Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard, it was the same thing. Miles Sanders would only really come on if Chuba then started doing poorly, which that doesn't facilitate, a dynamic rushing attack.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest concern, because I think that if I'm talking about who has the best room on the offensive side of the ball, I believe it would be obviously the O-line probably be the best room as far as talent. But I would like to think the running back room will be next up when you consider who you have in that backfield today.
Yeah.
Consider what Chuba Hubbard did accomplish last year.
Yeah.
What Rico Dowdle did in Dallas last year, and behind this offensive line that we do think is a top half of the league unit. I would like to think that we could roll with those two guys and be able to control the line of scrimmage for a lot of games and control the clock. Because I think that especially with a defense like that we think is on the other side, you need to stay on the field.
Yeah.
You need to bleed clock. You need to be able to control. You need to be able to control the tempo of games. And I think that it can make for. I don't think this season needs to be about Bryce Young throwing for 4,000 yards.
No, I don't either. I think. Because it's interesting, he's coming up. Like, they have the ability to, they could extend him if they want to at the end of the year, or really ride on that fifth-year option, which I think is what they're going to do. But on that same vein, if there's any 3 games we've talked about, if there's any 3 games to make sure you can establish a connection with your receivers early, do it right damn now. Because it's going to only get incredibly harder for your wide receivers and for Bryce too. So that's why I say to lean on it, because you know what you have in Chuba and Rico, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't want them to be hesitant because of Icky being out. Brady is a solid backup and should allow for you to still be able to have time in the pocket, right? And you're right. On the other side of the field, our running back room, I think, is definitely better than theirs. The other ETN, injuries plague him. Inconsistencies plague him. A subpar offensive line plagues him. Bigsby is like a workhorse, but doesn't really have any sort of punch. And then nobody knows what you're going to get from, Bishal Tootin.
It is that. I'm sorry.
He's the running back that they drafted out of Virginia Tech last year.
Yeah.
And I mean,
my fault, brother.
He was running in the ACC, but he was putting up yards, and he has a good 40. So people think he's going to take the starting spot, right? Or he's going to combat for it. But that's where so from the defensive side of the ball, your keys, don't allow, shut down that run quickly. And for the love of God, Avero, just blitz. Please. You think that you can't blitz because you don't have good cornerbacks and good defensive backs, so you have to keep your linebackers in coverage. But you're doing the opposite by giving the quarterback so much time to throw.
Yeah, you're not helping anybody.
You're not helping anybody. So blitz the quarterback, please, especially someone who is not as mobile. You're not going to be able to. Kyler Murray's not when you want to start blitzing the quarterback.
You're right.
Get Trevor Lawrence off his feet, and you're going to be able to be fine. Don't give him time to find Hunter or find Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Because that's just where I think that's where your keys are going to come down to really. I think who wins the game over the air in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either rush. I think our rushing attack is better than theirs, and if they can get a rhythm going with it, great. But I think you need to end the drives. That's in between the 20s, run the ball. I'd be okay with that. Once you get in that red zone, start chucking it up.
Really, I'm polar opposite, man. I hate throwing the ball in the red zone.
Then why get to two dual threats, high ball kind of guys?
You get them because these are the best players. But if you want to know what my whole MO is, brother, I need you when we get inside the 10. I need you to move another grown man and get me into the end zone. And it's, at the end of the day, truthfully, the only brand of football we've ever played that's been successful is we're about to move you off the spot.
Yeah.
This is it. There's no window dressing. It's either going to Stephen Davis, Deshaun Foster, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams, and we're moving you.
Okay, but what's the average weight of the 4 guys you just listed in comparison?
I don't know about smooth 230.
In comparison, don't get me wrong, Chuba's not tiny.
He ain't tiny, but we don't have a back. We're not carrying that back in that stable right now.
If Jonathan Brooks was healthy on that field, I'd be sitting right here with you, telling you the minute you get in those 20s, you give him the ball and let him power and run somebody over.
How many touchdowns Chuba had last year?
How many touchdowns?
Yeah.
It's a great. how many touchdowns inside the 20s.
I'm just asking. Like, I think for the most part, his touchdowns weren't home runs.
They weren't home runs.
Now, he had a lot of home runs.
He had a lot of home run
But
runs.
he never really finished these things off with tutties.
He definitely got – he obviously made his mark inside the red zone, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
with guys like Hunt and Lewis, you want to –
you definitely do want to. I agree with you in that regard.
Yeah.
I agree with you in that regard. I just think you have to – if you're going to establish the passing game, you have to do so in these 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that.
You can't wait till week, 6, 7, 8.
Especially when you're considering, these teams don't have corners that are
Arizona, Atlanta, Jacksonville.
Yeah. Arizona's got A.J. Terrell.
Yeah,
and
Atlanta does. But I've never been too scared of A.J. Terrell.
I'm not either.
Let's be completely honest.
But Arizona's gonna be rolling out a young Will Johnson now, who is nice. I do like him a lot.
He is.
But you take your chances.
So that's where I'd like to see, just because and obviously when it's this early on, you go with your running backs because they can. It's a lot quicker for them to get in the swing of things, right?
Yeah.
I just think that if you want to show that you aren't just the same old Panthers, because that's also with John Fox, Ron Rivera, Dom Capers, these were run you over. If you're the offensive mind that you say you are, then let me see it, right?
All right.
Let me see, and we saw it in times in preseason. Every preseason touchdown, which there weren't very many of, were all passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
James Mitchell had one. Jalen Coker had one.
And that's it. Bro, I think that's it. It's like you saw, bro.
I might have did myself dirty with that one.
Yeah.
But obviously Chuba was never on the field, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, and I think look at score points. I don't care how you do it. Yeah. you cannot go away with field goals.
No, you got to finish touchdowns, man. And that's look, man. I don't know if I care as much about who does what more so I care about the job getting done.
Absolutely.
And that's really where I'm at with it. We just haven't been good long enough for me to be caring about who gets their numbers. You know what I'm saying?
But so what do you think realistically a score prediction would be?
Give me 27-23.
Us winning or them?
Us.
I was thinking 28-21.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be one of them type of games.
It absolutely is.
Neither defensive unit had. There was just so many questions on each side of the defense. I think we have less. Crazy enough, I think we actually have less questions than they do defensively. But
yeah, absolutely. Because
at least with our front, on paper, that front that we have should work.
If they're all you got Turk, Ashawn, Derek Brown are big.
Yeah.
They are big boys. You bring, Pat Jones and DJ off the side, and they're getting the pressures that they want to. You got to block one of them. Yeah. And the linebackers are obviously a huge question. I do think Christian Roseboom can allow for that same kind of attack that Josie Jewell had. Yeah. I didn't see that much that I loved at him. And Trevin Wallace has fight, right? He is not. I think he'll be the one rushing a lot more than Roseboom will be. He'll be blitzing a lot more. He's smaller. He's faster. He can get around the outside.
I think that works to your advantage too.
Absolutely, because I to be honest, as far as a coverage linebacker goes, he's worse for wear.
Yeah.
And then allowing for whatever you do, I think you're going to play nickel set a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of nickels, which is fine with me. I think the biggest thing, and to be honest, really the key thing here, the other thing we can say, turnovers. That is going to be the key to this game.
Got to get the ball back.
And you cannot give it up.
No.
At all. Bryce, you don't need a perfect game, but
that's what I'm saying. The stat line for Bryce for me to feel like we probably won this game would be he doesn't have to throw for more than about 220.
Yeah.
Throw for 220. I'd say you need to be able to rush for about 130, 140.
Bryce or the team?
The team.
Okay, I was
the team.
Say.
Yeah, combined between Chuba and Dowdle and ETN, I would like to see if you can get to about 140 total. Yeah, I think about it. I think about a couple touchdowns. I think if XL and T-Mac can leave with a touchdown, that'd be phenomenal. Or just one of your tight ends. I think a tight end's going to end up with a touchdown.
Yeah.
I think one receiver's going to end up with a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I think you're going to see a Bryce Young scramble for a touchdown or a Chuba rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'd love to see a pick.
Love that.
I would love to see a pick.
Love to see a sack.
I would love to see. I am going to be greedy with sacks. I want to see 3 sacks.
I want to because I mean, like you said, like the biggest way I think the best way to get Trevor Lawrence off his game is to get to him. He's shown he's been jittery. He's been hit a lot throughout his career. And you look at last year. The reason why he didn't have the year I think many people expected last year is because he got hit. He got banged up. So I mean, yeah, if you can get after the quarterback, that will save everything.
And that's it's the whole justification for your 3-4 scheme.
Yep.
To allow for your linebackers to play like edge rushers and come around the sides, standing up, getting off the tackles, and getting to the quarterback. So if you have them up there, and I swear to God, if you break them out into slot zones, I'm going to lose my mind.
It's the whole justification as well for why we went receiver number 8 too. So.
Exactly. Like you didn't draft a true edge rushing, defender.
Yeah.
Or trade for a,
right.
No,
which I don't necessarily disagree with now, and because I like T-Mac, of course, but like
yes, but you have to then and for Avero, Canales is not on the hot seat. Canales has questions surrounding him, but you are on the hot seat.
Oh yeah,
you are lucky to be on the team this year to begin with, in my opinion. And I think the only reason you still are is because they knew they weren't going to draft a key defensive piece that they want to bring a new coordinator in with.
Right.
And they said, we're going to roll the same defense. Let's try to pick up the pieces, focus solely on the offense, see if Avero has what it takes to be. Because at one point in time, you were a head coach caliber coordinator.
Yep.
So can you be that again? And you do that by blitzing the quarterback. Do not put DJ Wanham in at coverage. Not that he can't cover, but what are we doing? What are we doing? So all that to say, I do think they squeak out a win.
Yep.
I think, like you said, and I need them to, because if you lose to Liam Cohen,
Duval,
it'd be tantamount to if the Gamecocks would have lost to Virginia Tech. I would have, I can't stomach that. You're already still a media laughingstock.
You are.
So to lose to Liam Cohen and 2 Saturday Night Live cast members in the front office.
Hey.
That's not gonna be good for anybody.
Right.
So, and then over under for how many drinks, Tepper, or does Tepper even go? Is he gonna be in the building?
Are they allowing him back in the building?
I don't think he got banned.
I would have banned myself if I was Tepper, to be honest. At some point, have some shame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's typical short. Man, I'm going under on drinks. Tepper ain't throwing nothing. You know what I'm saying? He gonna keep his cool.
Yeah.
He gonna keep his cool. I don't even think you really gonna see him be I think you're gonna see him at the back of the suite. I don't think you really gonna even see him be at the forefront like that.
Yeah, that's been a good change and a good change of pace.
He's been chilling.
He's been very quiet, very chilling, which should bode for good things ahead. But of course, only a few days away, right? So enjoy the Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night, or not Saturday, but Saturday football, and then football, and then watch the division rivals playing each other. Glad we're not a part of that already.
Yeah.
But outside of that, keep pounding.